We begin the day with what is looking more and more like the final fall of Aleppo. On Monday, Syria's army announced that it had retaken a large section of the country's largest city. Now, if the numbers are accurate, rebels lost more than a third of their territory, making this the most severe defeat for the opposition in Aleppo since the civil war began 5 years ago. Well, tonight, rebel forces are faced with a military and psychological blow so dramatic that observers say a recovery is practically impossible. A recapture of Aleppo would be the biggest military victory yet for President Bashar al-Assad, thanks in no small part to Russian air cover and bombardments. Assad's grip on power is stronger than we've seen in years. Our coverage begins tonight in a city comprised of hundreds of thousands of ruined homes and countless ruined lives.
Fleeing for their lives, thousands of civilians stream out of East Aleppo into other Kurdish-controlled parts of the city. Here, they're hoping to escape the aerial bombardments and Syrian government forces. Where were you? You deserted us, these women say. Grenades explode behind them. Syrian troops have overrun East Aleppo. They occupied almost half of the rebel-held part of the city within just 48 hours at the weekend. Now it's deserted. Syria's government says it's transporting those who couldn't or didn't want to flee to safe areas. People here are scared, hungry and tired. And they don't all see President Assad's troops as the only threat. Some are accusing the rebels of crimes. The militants beat us with sticks and didn't let us near humanitarian corridors. They kidnapped my daughter, and I don't know what happened to her. The rebels are close to losing Aleppo completely. The city is one of their last remaining strongholds. If it falls, it will be a major defeat for those fighting against President Bashar al-Assad.
Well, I'm joined now here at the big table by Rama Aymah. She's a former resident of Aleppo who fled to Germany back in 2013. Rama, it's good to have you on the show tonight. We appreciate you coming in. I have to ask you, what went through your mind when you heard the news that the Syrian army now is on the verge of retaking eastern Aleppo?
Also, big massacre will happen. It's horrific. It's tragic. There are more than 200,000 people there that now their lives would be, I don't know, I think he will kill all of them. He will arrest all of them. He will not let anybody their life.
And that includes your family. You have family still in Aleppo,
yes.
Right?
I have family in West Aleppo and in East Aleppo. In East Aleppo, more activists, friends, more than family. But in the west side also, like I have family.
And it's important, you and I talked about this earlier today. Geography doesn't decide what side of this conflict you're on. I mean, you can be in West Aleppo and you can support the rebels, and you can be in Eastern Aleppo and support Assad.
Of course.
But is that going to matter to Assad's army once he has the entire city in his power again?
I think anybody who expresses his mind or his opinion would be like immediately arrested or killed, because he used to torture people secretly. Now he do it publicly, and nobody is doing anything to change that or to take him to court or to. He's like a criminal and he doesn't care, and the whole world is like.
And that's why you left.
Of course, because there are no, like I come from family who had a decent income, and I say I had a privileged life, but I couldn't express my opinion. There was no, like, you're fine as long as you don't have any political opinion. You're safe. But when you express anything, any freedom of speech or any act, then you will be immediately like disappear.
And you were able to come to Germany on a student visa.
Yes.
But you said most people in Syria, even the ones who've become refugees, they don't want to leave. They want to stay in their home country, which I think everybody can understand. What do they tell you? What do they want to see happen now? Because Aleppo is going to fall. What do they want to see happen then?
I think the first step is to end this is no-fly zone. Like the people shouldn't have to leave their country. And
a no-fly zone controlled by whom? By
international neutral forces. It's like it doesn't matter, but the bombing must stop.
Is Russia an enemy for you?
Of course it is. Of course, they bombed all the hospitals in Aleppo, saying that they are fighting terrorists, which all of us know there are no like terrorists. They are civilian people.
Civilians, yeah.
Yeah, and they are killing them, and they are making sure that nobody get out of there alive.
So who do you want then to impose this no-fly zone? I mean, efforts have been made with numerous resolutions in the Security Council to help the situation, and it's been blocked by Russia or China. Who do you want to come and rescue, your family?
I think the whole world should participate in that, because the whole world owe that to Syria, because they all participated in one way or another in this tragedy that Syria is living now.
And you think the world is responsible for the tragedy?
Of course, I think that, because they left it alone, and they, like Obama, made so many red lines that Assad crossed, and he didn't even care to he let him go with all of his crimes, and he sent a message to him that these are green lights. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Stand by there for just a second, Rama. This notion of justice for Assad, is it possible? Well, earlier today here in Germany, 6 lawyers filed a suit accusing Syrian President Bashar al-Assad of human rights violations in Aleppo. Here's part of what the attorneys said in a news conference here in Berlin.
None of us are naive. We know that Assad will not appear in front of a court next week because we filed a case. But such an investigation sends a strong sign towards Damascus. If the most important country in Europe investigates it, it is a sign, and if other countries follow it, it's an even stronger sign.
Well, joining me and Rama now is Onur Utsata. He is one of the 6 lawyers who today filed that case against Bashar al-Assad for war crimes with the Federal Prosecutor at Germany's federal courts. Mr. Utsata, thank you for coming on the day with us tonight. How is a lawsuit going to help anyone in Aleppo?
I think if we can make the the Federal Public Prosecutor to lead investigations against Assad, who's the responsible person for all these crimes being committed in the last years and especially in the last months in Aleppo, then I think then we will be prepared for a future trial which can take place.
This is something
we heard what Rama said about the horrific situation in Aleppo. We have while we're talking here, people are hiding in basements, starving, and are not sure whether they will survive the next day or the next month. So I think it's important to take actions.
You are asking the German Federal Prosecutor to accept this case, and that could take, you said, there's really no time limit on that. It could come in a few weeks, it could come in a few months. But I mean, this is a politically charged case because if the prosecutor goes forward with it, then you have Germany pitted against Russia. Russia is supporting Bashar al-Assad. Why should Germany go alone against the forces of Russia for Syria?
I think if the public prosecutor, the Federal Public Prosecutor, starts to investigate this case, and I think he has good reasons to investigate, then we will send out, Germany will send out a very strong message to all the perpetrators of war crimes and crimes against humanity in the world, also against the Syrian regime and in consequence to its Russian allies.
But what about the people here who are going to be against that, who will say Germany took in 1 million refugees last year? You know, I mean, Rama is sitting with us because Germany did open its doors to people who needed somewhere to go. Why should it then try to be, you know, the judge and juror as well? Isn't that something for, you know, a higher court to do? I mean, why should Germany take on this responsibility?
And Germany has a code of laws for crimes against international law. Mm-hmm. This is our law, and we have the principle of legality. That means that if there's a crime committed, usually they have to persecute it. And what we demand is being a constitutional state, and that means stick to the rules and to the laws in this country.
But do you ever think that Bashar al-Assad will, you know, be brought to Germany? I mean, will you ever get your hands on him to make him face justice?
You know, we have in the very unique case we have is the case of Omar al-Bashir from Sudan,
yeah.
who is persecuted by international arrest warrant, and last year we had the chance.
Do you think that can happen though? I mean, Russia will have to let something like that happen, an extradition. It will, you know, will have to happen with Russia's permission. Can you imagine Russia, Vladimir Putin, letting Bashar al-Assad go, sacrificing him?
Why not? I mean, we don't know what will happen in 5 years, in 10 years, what the dynamics in politics will be. It's quite possible that there are other priorities in a few years, or that there can be an exchange for other interests. So I think it's not something which is impossible.
Rama, does it make you feel better to know that at least this lawsuit is a possibility?
Well, yes, of course. Like, I don't like to be pessimistic or to say that any act will be useless, because as a Syrian, I always want to have hope that justice will finally get its way. But, you know, I don't know. And you say, like, if Russia sacrifices him, I think it would. Why wouldn't they? Because they're not, like, in love with him. Like, they're not protecting him because they're in love with him. Yeah. Because they have benefits and they have their own interest in the area and in Syria.
And we also will have to see what President-elect Donald Trump, what kind of deal he can strike, too, with Mr. Putin. We never know. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Onur Odzata, a lawyer, and Rama Aymak. Thank you both of you. Rama, special thanks to you for sharing your story with us. We appreciate it. Thank you.